Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into sources to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and surprising facts for you. Today, we're getting into a really intense story from ancient China. It's a tale packed with, well, discipline, unexpected discovery, and some pretty heartbreaking shifts in perspective. Our journey focuses on Ling Huchang. He's known as the #1 troublemaker of the famous Huashan sword school. And his latest misadventure, it lands him a serious punishment. Solitary confinement up on the desolate cliff of Contemplation. But this isn't just about martial arts or forced meditation. It's really about this young man's unexpected and quite transformative journey.
Exactly. And our mission really for this deep dive is to explore how that kind of forced isolation, which is meant for quiet meditation and reflection, how it can actually paradoxically unleash this cascade of painful revelations. Revelations about himself, about love, even about the foundations of his whole world. We're pulling out some surprising facts and insights from Chapter 8 of The Smiling Proud Wanderer.
Right, a classic wuxia tale that's the genre, Chinese fiction with martial artists, often with incredible abilities.
Steeped in martial arts. Honor, complex relationships. It's rich stuff.
So the big question we're tackling is, what happens when enforced quiet doesn't actually bring peace? When it unlocks hidden rooms, both literal ones and metaphorical ones, changing everything you thought you knew. Let's dive in. Okay. So Ling Huchang gets to the Jade Maiden Peak. It's described as a steep cliff. There's a small cave. And this wasn't just some random spot. It was used for generations of Huashan apprentices who'd messed up, who'd broken the rules.
Where the intention was pretty clear. The text says it was a bare place that even birds or insects didn't want to live here. The whole point was ensuring total focus, zero distractions. It paints a really stark picture, doesn't it?
It really does. But even there, Ling Huchang's sort of rebellious spirit comes through. He sees this big, smooth rock in the cave, and he basically says to himself, well, I, Ling Huchang, am the #1 troublemaker, so of course I'm destined to sit on this rock. Kind of embracing the title.
Yeah, it's funny. But what's fascinating is how his solitude immediately goes off script.
Yeah.
He's not really meditating on his faults, not like he's supposed to. Instead, he quickly finds these words carved into the rock wall. Feng Xing Yang.
Feng Xing Yang, okay.
Yeah, and the strokes are vigorous, carved half an inch deep. It screams power, skill. He figures this must be some powerful senior master, maybe even his grand uncle master.
But he's never heard of him.
Exactly. He wonders why his master and master wife never mentioned such a, well, significant figure. It immediately hints at some untold history, maybe something hidden within the school itself.
And while he's mulling that over, he's also grappling with this other major internal conflict, his master's brutal order about the demon cult. He's basically been told, if you see one, simply draw my sword and kill him right away with no questions asked. No hesitation.
And the source material really lays out the grim justification for that order. It talks about entire families nailed to trees.
Perfect.
Yeah. Newlyweds beheaded at their wedding, bombs planted at parties, injuring people he knows, like Uncle Master G. Even mentions a master from another school having his arms, feet, and eyes cut out. Just brutal stuff.
So Ling Huchang is really processing this, right? The sheer cruelty.
He is. It's a heavy moral weight. And after thinking through these accounts, he kind of comes to a resolution. He thinks, demon cult members really have committed too many cruel crimes. Why should I hesitate? He decides, yeah, I will draw my sword and attack with no question asked. And finding that clarity, even in such a brutal decision, actually brings him a sense of ease of mind.
That's interesting. That decisiveness gives him peace, in a way.
It seems so. And in that slightly lighter mood, he even does something impulsive, tries this risky backward leap near the cliff edge, just for a little risky fun.
But that solitude, that ease of mind, it doesn't last long, does it?
Not at all. It's completely shattered by Yu Ling-chan showing up, his junior apprentice sister. She's brought a meal basket.
And she tries his dangerous leap, too.
She does, playfully mimicking him, but she almost falls. Ling Huchang grabs her just in time, pulls her back.
Protective instincts kicking in.
Definitely. And even though she was terrified, she still declares victory, which is pretty funny.
So this starts a whole new phase for him up there. She starts visiting him daily, bringing food.
Food, yeah. And even wine. Stolen wine, apparently. She's really determined. The text says she even cried to one of the other apprentices, Monkey 6, to get her way and be allowed to bring him stuff.
Wow. So this punishment is becoming something else entirely.
Completely. It transforms it. The source explicitly states, although Ling Huchang lived alone atop the cliff, he didn't feel lonely at all. He's not meditating on his mistakes.
No.
He's actually energized. He worked hard on his kung fu skills with dedication, practicing Huashan forms, inner energy, even Tianbo Guang's knife chops he picked up. And Master Wife's special move, the unrivaled and unmatched, the thrust of Ning.
So the companionship fuels his training.
It seems to be the primary motivator. It shifts from punishment to this focused self-improvement, driven by his feelings for her. He thinks, she is so good to me. I'd be willing to die 1,000 times for her. That's pretty intense devotion.
Yeah, it really is. But this,
Hmm.
well, this idyllic routine, it's bound to hit a snag, right? Especially up on a mountain cliff.
Right, and it does. A severe snowstorm hits.
Oh no. And he's immediately worried about her.
Consumed with worry. He knows how steep and dangerous the path is, especially in snow. He's wishing his master and master wife would stop her from even trying to come up.
But she comes anyway.
She makes the perilous climb, but she falls, loses the meal basket.
Oh, the food.
Yeah, and worse, she injures her forehead. There's blood dripping down when she gets there.
Oh man, how does he react?
He's frantic with concern. His affection is just pouring out. He tells her, if you had fallen into the valley, how could I ever face master and master wife again? It's about them, but really it's about her. He even kind of agrees with her when she implies she wouldn't want to live if he died. He says that's correct. It's a very charged moment.
So this drama leads to them being stuck there.
Exactly. The storm makes it impossible for her to leave. And she reveals her parents. His master and master wife have actually left Mount Washan anyway. They went for some urgent meeting with the Songshan Sword School chief.
So they're alone, overnight, in the cave.
Yeah. And this unexpected, intimate seclusion, it prompts some deep reflection in Ling Huchang. He thinks about his life, his duties as head apprentice, his past recklessness. He resolves right then to thoroughly rectify my errors for his master wife, and especially for Yu Lingshan. He's planning this whole reformed future all centered around her.
But the very next morning, something happens that hints maybe that future isn't quite what he thinks.
Yeah, the first crack appears. He overhears her talking in her sleep.
Oh, what does she say?
She's dreaming, kind of playfully, about bullying Chaplin, that's Lin Pingzi, another apprentice, pushing him into a waterfall, joking about killing other apprentices, but also confirming she's teaching him sword skills.
How does Ling Huchang take that?
At this point, he actually finds it quite amused. He still seems confident in her affection for him. Maybe he thinks it's just childish teasing about Lin.
Okay, so amusement for now. But things shift pretty quickly after that, don't they?
They do. First, Yu Lingshan gets sick herself, catches a cold during that snowstorm adventure. And she's ill for 2 weeks down the mountain while her parents tend to her. During that time, Ling Huchang becomes very worried. He stops eating properly, just drinks wine apparently, and spirals into a really bad state himself. Ends up with a high fever and is in a coma for 4 days and nights.
Wow, just from worry.
It seems directly linked. It really shows his intense emotional dependence on her, this painful vulnerability starting to surface.
And when she finally comes back after he starts recovering,
She looks great, glowing with health and radiating vigor. But he's surprised she took so long to come back up the cliff. He wonders, why did she wait so long?
does she explain?
She does, and her explanation is, well, it's another blow, whether she intends it or not. She says, Mom just taught me a new sword art form, the 19 stances of the Jade Maiden Sword.
The Jade Maiden's sword. Is that significant?
Hugely significant. It's described as a very complicated form, mostly for female apprentices. And Ling Huchang, despite being the senior apprentice and highly skilled, hasn't learned it.
So he's excluded from this.
Subtly, yeah. It underscores her growing independence, maybe her developing skills separate from him.
And it gets worse, doesn't it, how she learned it?
She confesses, kind of bashfully, that it was little Lin who helped me to practice this advanced form. Not her father, not Ling Huchang. Lin Pingzi.
Ouch. How does he react to that?
Physically, he feels some kind of indescribable annoyance and finds it difficult to swallow his food. It's that gut punch feeling, manifesting physically.
Then there's that awkward, my dear moment.
Right. He calls her my dear, maybe accidentally, maybe testing the waters. And her reaction is initially positive. Why would I mind? I like you to call me that.
Okay, a glimmer of hope.
For a second. But then she immediately turns and walks away. Like, the warmth is offered and then instantly retracted. Leaves him hanging.
And then the song, the Fujian folk song.
Ah, yes. The song, this is the real turning point, emotionally. He hears her singing this lively and smooth tune he's never heard before.
And he recognizes it's not a local song.
He realizes it's a Fujian folk song, and the devastating connection clicks instantly. Fujian is where Lin Pingzi is from. Apprentice brother Lin must have taught her.
That realization must have been crushing.
The text says it hit him almost like a hammer just smashed his chest. Just absolute emotional devastation.
And how does he process that pain?
He immediately turns it inwards, blaming himself. He questions his own manhood, thinking, you've always been so unrestrained and carefree before, but today you can't even put aside your worry just because of a song. How can you still call yourself a true man?
So he sees his pain as weakness.
Exactly. He feels great pain in his heart, but he can't reconcile this emotional vulnerability with his self-image as this carefree, strong martial artist. It's a deep internal conflict.
And this intense emotional pain, it leads directly to the next big discovery, doesn't it? The cave.
It really does. That pain from the Fujian folk song needs an outlet. In frustration, he grabs his sword and just starts hacking at the cave wall, like a madman.
And he breaks through.
To his total surprise, yeah. He finds the wall is just a very thin layer of rock. There's something on the other side, a hidden space.
So he doesn't hesitate, just goes for it.
Driven by, I think, both curiosity and this desperate need for something else to focus on besides his heartbreak, he grabs a large rock and smashes his way through.
And what does he find inside this secret cave?
It's pretty grim at first. Skeletons.
Skeletons, plural.
Yeah. One is lying face down near the entrance with two huge axes, like they were desperately trying to dig their way out and failed. Others are found with various special weapons, iron plates, judge pens, staffs, maces, a whole arsenal. This clearly wasn't just a natural cave. It was a place where a major conflict happened.
And swords, too, right, from different schools.
Yes, a whole pile of them. Over a dozen long swords just discarded. And significantly, they're from the Five Mountain Sword Alliance, Taishan, Hangshan, Songshan, and his own Huashan school.
So his alliance members died here, or were trapped here.
It strongly suggests a major, perhaps disastrous, historical event involving the entire alliance. Something clearly went very wrong in this cave.
And then he sees the carvings on the wall, not just Feng Qingyang this time.
No, much more. First, these huge angry characters. The Five Mountain Sword Alliance, you shameless and despicable bunch, can't win in a fair fight, dirty tricks are your specialty.
Whoa, okay, that's direct.
Extremely. And lots of smaller cursing words around it. Ling Yuchang is initially furious, naturally, seeing his alliance insulted like this.
But then he looks closer at other drawings.
Exactly. His anger shifts to, well, intellectual shock. He sees all these sketches on the walls, diagrams of human figures in combat, and what they depict is stunning. Various famous sword techniques from the Five Mountain Sword Alliance, including specific Huashan moves he knows well, like Graceful Phoenix and Green Pine's welcoming guests, being systematically countered and defeated.
Defeated? By what?
By what look like really clumsy or dull staff or spear moves. It's completely counterintuitive. But the drawings show these simple-looking moves breaking the sophisticated sword techniques. It's a profound discovery, almost like finding an ancient textbook that disproves everything you've been taught. It's like seeing your foundational beliefs just crumble.
So he starts analyzing these counter moves.
He does. And the more he looks, the more shocked he becomes. He realizes their devastating effectiveness. He sees the principle behind them. Counter motion with standstill and defy cleverness with dullness.
It's not just about hitting harder, it's a whole different philosophy.
Precisely. A superior, more fundamental approach that just dismantles the fancy swordplay he's dedicated his life to.
How does this affect him? His confidence must be just gone.
Completely shattered. It's catastrophic for him. He realizes that even if he mastered his Huashan sword art perfectly, even to his own master's level, it would be useless against these counters shown on the wall. He starts questioning everything. How can the Five Mountain Sword Alliance have this great fame if their core techniques are actually so fragile? It's a crisis that goes way beyond his own skill. It shakes the foundation of his entire martial world.
And this leads him to a moral crossroads, doesn't it? What to do about these drawings.
Yes, a real dilemma. His first instinct, understandably, is to protect the Alliance's reputation. He's tempted to grab one of those axes he found and just chop all those drawings down and leave no trace. Hide the painful truth.
But he doesn't.
He can't bring himself to do it. After staring at the moves, appreciating their, exquisite and brilliant nature despite what they represent, he refuses. He declares out loud just to himself, I, Ling Yuchang, will never do such shameless and undignified things.
So even heartbroken and disillusioned, his fundamental integrity
It
holds.
seems so. It's a key character moment. He won't destroy knowledge, even if it's devastating to his own side.
And does this discovery connect back to anything else?
It does. He starts thinking about that mysterious, masked man in green robe who showed up briefly on the cliff earlier and used some moves resembling the 19 stances of the Jade Maiden sword.
Hmm.
He wonders now if that man is somehow connected to this cave, if he's the master behind these incredible counter moves. All these mysteries are starting to weave together in a really unsettling way for Ling Chong.
Okay, so he's reeling from the cave discovery, his confidence is shot, and he's heartbroken over Yuling Shan. How does she act towards him now?
Oh, it gets much worse. In the days after he finds the cave, she becomes incredibly cold. She still brings his food, but refuses to speak, won't even look at him.
Just silence.
Worse than silence.
Yeah.
As she leaves, on her way down the cliff, she starts singing those Fujian folk songs again, but this time loudly.
Oh, that's intentional. That's twisting the knife.
Absolutely. Ling Chong feels it acutely, like someone was stabbing him hard in the heart. He realizes she came up specifically to annoy me intentionally. It's cruel.
And this leads to another confrontation.
A really raw one. He's desperate. As she turns to leave, he grabs her left sleeve.
Probably not a good idea.
No. There's a loud tearing sound. The whole sleeve rips off, exposing her arm. She's intensely embarrassed, furious. How dare you, she yells at him.
Why is she so angry, though? Is it just the torn sleeve?
That's the trigger. But the real reason spills out. She blames him, blames him because his junior brother Lu Deyu complained to their parents about her teaching Lin Pingzi. And as a result, Lin Pingzi got scolded and was banned from teaching him sword skills.
Ah. So her anger is really about Lin Pingzi being punished, and she blames Ling Chong indirectly.
Exactly. It lays bare just how much her affection has shifted to Lin Pingzi and how little regard she seems to have left for Ling Chong's feelings. Her final words to him are devastating. I'll never pay attention to you again. Never, ever, ever.
And that phrase, that was something they used to say playfully.
Yes. It used to be their inside joke, meaning the opposite. Now she throws it back at him with genuine anger. It's just crushing. It's a stark reminder of how intimacy can sour, how shared language can be weaponized.
How does Ling Chong react to this blow?
He's completely shattered. Later, when Lu Deyu, the one who complained, brings him food and confirms Lin is banned from practicing with her, Ling Chong just loses it. He jumps up like a madman, sweeps all the bowls and plates off the cliff edge, shouting, "Who asked you to poke around? Who asked you to poke around?" At poor Lu Deyu.
He's taking it out on him.
Yeah, it's misplaced rage born from utter heartbreak and helplessness. He feels he does not need pity, just wants to lash out.
And this sends him spiraling again physically.
Yes, the emotional distress takes its toll. He stops eating again, only drinks wine, and falls into a second, even worse illness, another high fever, another coma. The text explicitly links it to his emotional suffering and sorrow this time.
Even though Lu Deo is still loyal, trying to help him.
Lu Deo remains loyal, yes, bringing him water and trying to care for him, but Ling Chong is just lost in his pain, completely isolated by grief.
And amidst all this physical and emotional suffering, he has another realization about the cave drawings, related to his master wife.
He does. As he lies there, maybe feverish, maybe just despairing, he thinks back to the drawings. He remembers one that looked like his master wife's signature move, that thrust of Ning. But he recalls the drawing depicted it differently, bolder and vigorous, simple and unadorned, and crucially performed by a man.
Implying her move is an adaptation, or maybe less effective.
He starts to think her version might be an adaptation, yes. And he realizes the original method shown in the cave, the simpler, more direct one, seems far more powerful. The drawing implied it could even break a sword if it met a staff head-on using that technique.
Just reinforcing the idea that his school's techniques are flawed.
Terribly so. It connects directly back to those final devastating sketches in the cave, the ones showing a swordsman kneeling and surrendering, head down, sword thrown away. It confirms the utter defeat of the Five Mountains Sword Alliance techniques depicted there. Ling Chong's despair just deepens. He concludes the kung fu of his own school, the foundation of his life, is pathetic. The Alliance's great fame, he sees it now as undeserved and deceiving. His whole world, personal and martial, has crumbled.
Wow. So Ling Chong's time on the Cliff of Contemplation, it started as a simple punishment for a troublemaker, didn't it?
Yeah, just supposed to be time to think about his actions.
But it completely transformed into this crucible, intense emotional turmoil, huge intellectual discoveries. His isolation didn't bring quiet reflection, it revealed all these hidden truths. about martial arts, loyalty, love, his own identity, a total heartbreaking shift.
Absolutely. And this deep dive, I think, really highlights how intertwined those things are, personal relationships and these grand, world-shattering revelations. His isolation forced him to confront painful insights, not just about the martial world's deceiving fame or the flaws in his own school's techniques, but also the really raw personal pain of love changing, of Yulingshen's affections shifting away from him,
He went up there thinking he needed to reflect on his past mistakes.
and ended up getting a devastating crash course in the fragility of his present and the uncertainty of his future.
It's a powerful example of how digging into these sources, doing these deep dives, can pull out such unexpected connections and insights. For Ling Hu Chang, what seemed like a tiny confined space, that cave, that cliff, led to these boundless discoveries, both internal and external, discoveries that challenged every single thing he thought he knew.
And that really leads us to a final thought for you, our listener, something to maybe mull over, drawing from Ling Hu Chang's whole ordeal. In your own life, maybe when you face those moments of forced solitude or unexpected hardship or just quiet time,
Yeah.
what hidden truths might surface? Not just about the world, maybe, but about your own deeply held beliefs, your attachments.
And if those truths turn out to be painful, like Ling Hu Chong, finding out his school wasn't invincible or that love wasn't permanent, how do you respond? Do you react like he initially wanted to, maybe try to hide it, protect the old ideas? Or do you allow yourself to be truly, as we say, well-informed? Do you embrace what you've learned, no matter how difficult it is, and maybe use that painful new knowledge to find a different kind of foundation, a new basis for your own strength, your own perspective? It's a tough question.